The first step for ink drawing is that using of your palette and create 3 or 4 different values of your ink. Then this is the first one. The second is I'm making a gesture of the trees that I see in distance, and I make it just with the water wet, and then I'm using of a dark medium dark ink, and I let it go from the bottom to part in the sky. Then I'm making everything's wet again, just water, and use of the very clean water, and just let it spread by itself. And coming in the lower part, keep a part in the between the horizon and bottom part, and make everywhere wet again. Then we're gonna start with the lower part, and I'm adding ink in the lower part, and I let it get go over everywhere. Bottom part is more dark, and I'm gonna wait until it's getting a little dry, and I back on the shadow that I had on the distance with the tree shapes. It's still wet, but not very wet, and not dry completely, and adding some details to it. Remember that when we are using of the atmospheric perspective, we are not making a detaily drawing from what we see in the distance. Then back to the island part that we have, and because the top part is dry, the only part that the ink that I use, the only way that it can go is lower part, and the lower part gonna be on the water and showing some kind of reflection, but I don't want it's going to top part, and the top part is completely dry. Okay, the next is let it get dry. I'm using of hair dryer because I want to just finish it faster. Use of the small brush and add a dark shadow in the middle of the island. Then you divide it to 2 parts. One part is the island, the other part is the shadow that we have. And now we can add some kind of the details on this on the and we can add tree. The tree is important that don't make a straight line for this. The trunks are not very geometric shapes. Then try to make it more organic shapes, and coming on the again with a very small round shape brush, and create the branches and twigs. And you can go and add as much as you want to that. It's a very minimalism landscape. Then we can focus on the creating the shadow and shades, and not a lot of the details on this. When you're adding the shape, remember what we did on the charcoal landscape. Then again, when you're doing and draw the tree here, the mark making is very important. We are trying to gesture the shape of the leaves, but not really their leaves. So we're back to the water and adding some reflection on top of this, the darker reflection, mostly use of the implied lines. This is a wet technique, by the way, that first we make everything wet, then we're gonna add the pigments on this. In the end, you can come back on the water and adding more light and dark on this, the shape of the wavy shape of the water reflections. But remember that you need to have a rag on your hands everywhere that you think it's too much. You can use of the rag to remove the pigments that we have. And yeah, in the end, as much as you want, add more and more detail to it.